we start. Yeah, Sarah Sadibros, chapter 20, verse 1. God spoke all of these words, saying. So right away we notice what is all of these words, and let's see what Rashi says. Why also does it say Elokim here? So Rashi says, Ein Elokim Eladayan. The name Elokim means a judge. So why is the word Elokim is the name of God representing the midah, the character trait called din, whereas the Yud Kei Vav Kei is the character trait representing rachamim, mercy. So Rashi is asking, why over here do we start with the mid? Why did the Ten Commandments start with the midah of din? So because Rashi says, parashot b'Torah, that there are certain passages in the Torah that if a person does them, he receives reward. But if not, he doesn't receive a punishment for them. Meaning to say, like, for example, the mitzvah of sending away a mother bird before you take the eggs or the chicks. If you decide not to take the eggs or the chicks, you don't get a punishment. But if you do it, you get a reward. Or if you wear tzitzis, you get a reward. If you don't wear tzitzis, you don't get a punishment. But this is different. I might think the Ten Commandments are optional. Says the verse, like the Beryl Kim, Dayali Parai. Like this is God spoke, and He's a judge who will exact punishment if you don't do it. So if you don't, these are not an option. These are not an option. I just want to follow up with something we were talking about this afternoon in our Parsha share, but I was thinking about it, and I want to say, so I want to like do a coda to that. What is the most uniquely human of all of the Ten Commandments? Of all the Ten Commandments, which is the one that's most uniquely human? That only the humans do.
Mother and father?
Well, not the mother, but honoring the father. There are, like the elephants honor their mother, but only the humans honor their father, especially when the child moves out of the house. So that's why we say that's what it makes to be human, is to honor your father. Everything else, you could be animalistic. That's what I was thinking about. Are there other animal cultures where there are sometimes where the father raises, but that you honor the father, that's the human being. Okay. As Kol Advar all of these words, this teaches us that God said the Ten Commandments in one utterance. God says the Ten Commandments in one utterance. And it's impossible for a person to say it. Meaning to say, impossible for a person to say it the way God said. He said all 10 things at once. I mean, now we could probably do it through AI. What? We could splice them all together. If that's the case, why does it say it's separately? I am Hashem your God, don't do unto others. So meaning to say, what's Rashi saying? If it's true that God said all 10 commandments at once, why are they in separate verses? Why aren't they included in one verse? So after God said it, He went back and said each one of the commandments by itself. And saying, this teaches us that they were responding yes to that which was positive and no to that which was negative. The Jewish people responded to the positive commandments, yes, we will do that. To the negative commandments, say, we will not do that. It's an interesting one. Okay, so now we're up to verse 2. This is the commandment of Anochi. Anochi Hashem Elokecha. I am Hashem your God. Asher hotziticha me'eretz Mitzrayim mibeit avadim. The Anochi. What a word here. The Anochi. What a word. There's so much to say about it. I am Hashem your God. First we'll see what Rashi says. Oh, well, yes, sir. Good to see you. Everybody say, get a good greeting to Eliezer. After today, he's going to be in Brazil for the next month and a half.
Wow.
I'm gonna do a video call from my school there as far as bar mitzvah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Safe. Rio?
No,
Rio?
not Rio. Fortaleza?
Recife.
Recife.
My mother was born in Fortaleza.
Fortaleza. Okay. Asher tziticha me'aretz Mitzrayim b'nei Tamidim. I'm God who took you out from the land of Egypt, from the house of slaves. Rashi says, Kedai hotza'ah shetiyu meshubadim li. Taking you out of Egypt is sufficient for you to be meshubad, like subject to me. Alternatively, because God revealed himself to them at the sea like a warrior, and now he's revealing himself like an old man full of mercy. What's this idea of the old man? Where does it say he's an old man? Well, anyway, that's what Rashi says. As it says, beneath his feet were bricks of sapphire. This brick was before him at the time of shibud, time of enslavement. And something like the image of heavens is before him once they were redeemed. So since God's saying, since I appear differently, I change appearances, do not say that there are two divine powers. I'm the same one. I took you out from Egypt, and I'm the same one who appeared to you on the sea. I'm the same one. So far Rashi has said two explanations. One is, I'm the one who led you out of Egypt, and that's the reason to serve me. Second one of I'm the one. I'm the same one, even though I manifest myself differently to you. A third approach, since they heard a lot of sounds at the time of the revelation, it says the sounds come from all four directions, from the heavens and the earth. Don't say that there are different powers. There's only one power, and that's me. Then Rashi asks another question. Why does it say, I am Hashem, your God, in the singular? Why doesn't it say, I am Hashem, your God, speaking to all the Jewish people in the plural? Ani Hashem Elokechem. Why does it say, Ani Hashem Elokecha? So Rashi says, this is to provide a plausible defense for Moshe, to give him a hint how he can defend the Jewish people by the sin of the golden calf. That's why Moshe says, why are you getting mad at your people? You didn't tell them that they can't worship other gods. You only commanded me. That's Moshe's defense. It puts Moshe. I'll go with Moses over Johnny Cochran. So now, Johnny Cochran, I think of blessed memory. I think he passed away. So what does it say in chapter 20? So let's just see what the Rebbe say about this word Anochi, because I feel like this is the central word of the Ten Commandments, is Anochi. It all starts from Anochi. So here's what it says. This is what, Reb Tzadok HaKohen says. Reb Tzadok says is this: the word Anochi, the utterance Anochi, comes prior to the utterance, do not have any other gods. Because through a proper understanding of a person of the Anochi, meaning to say, from a total faith that God is present in the world, you'll be saved from do not take other gods, and you'll be protected from any dissent. So the rabbi said that for every mitzvah you do, an angel is created, measure for measure. So all of the mitzvahs the Jewish people received through an agent, through Moses. So therefore, an angel was given to them to guard them. But Anochi Elohilcha, they heard directly from God. So with the reward of Anochi, Hashem himself is protecting us from worshiping other gods. So, the idea is, only if you understand that there's a God will you be saved from not making any other gods. That's what Tzadok HaKohen is saying. And if you have total faith in God, then God will offer you protection. This is what Heschel said, not Abraham Joshua Heschel, the philosopher, but the O of Yisro, his great grandfather, the Apter Rebbe. He says, why does it say Anochi Hashem Elokecha in the singular and not in the plural? Because God spoke. This is such a powerful statement. You have to. This is only the Hasidic masters can come up with this statement. I'm going to say it, and I won't be shocked if some of you start to cry tears of just intense spirituality when you hear this. Why does the text say, I am Hashem your God in the singular in the Ten Commandments, and not I am Hashem your God in the plural? Says the Ohev Yisrael, because God spoke to every single person according to their ability and depth that they are able to understand, and according to their own spiritual level that they can grasp. And so that's why he says, I am Hashem your God. God spoke differently at that moment to every single person. Each one of us has a totally different grasp and understanding of God. And that's what it means, I am Hashem your God. See, this is the majesty of the Hasidic masters, that they can say something like that. That every single person has a unique relationship with God, and that's to be celebrated. Think about that.
It kind of goes along with what you're saying, that all of the commandments we set together, he was able to force.
Speak to everyone.
Once, so he could also speak to every Jew at once with his own spirituality of intensity that was needed.
I like that idea a lot. Very nice. Very nice. Baruch Hashem. That's a great idea. Meaning God spoke it all at once, and then so everybody heard it exactly the same time. Nobody heard it differently. But here, the Apter Rebbe or the Apter Rebbe is saying, the Ohev Yisrael is saying, we all have Anochi Hashem Elokecha means we all have a different, unique relationship with God. And the Sifsei Kohen says something similar. He says, why does it say it in the singular? Because the understanding of God and the ability to grasp his greatness is not something that's equal to everyone. Each person has a different understanding of God. It's basically very similar to what the Apter says. We all have a different relationship with God. We have a different understanding of God. That's why it says, I am Hashem in the singular. Okay, so now, yes, Jerry.
Is the first pasuk a commandment?
That's a very good question that the commentaries discuss. There isn't, the consensus is that it's a commandment, but not everybody accepts that. Not everybody accepts it, but the consensus is that it's the first of the 10 commandments. Like whenever you see the Luchot written out in artistic form, then it's written as commandment number 1. And then Lo Yeh Lecha is number 2.
Okay, so in other words, Vaydaber Elokim es kol hadvarim. This is sort of an introduction, but it isn't part of the 10 commandments.
The first commandment is usually understood to be I am Hashem your God. But you're correct. First of all, it's not really a commandment.
Yes.
It's just a statement, an utterance. Now, to be sure, the Torah never says the 10 commandments. That's never a word that the Torah uses. Torah uses the word Aseret Hadvarim, the 10 utterances. Never calls it the 10 commandments.
Precept.
What?
Precepts.
No, a precept, I believe, means a commandment, right? Isn't the precept just mean a commandment? Isn't that what the word precept means? But what does the word precept mean? Steinsaltz writes precept. Let's look up what precept means. I don't want to argue with Rabbi Steinsaltz. Let's see. Precept.
Arm just means words.
Precept. Look, Devarim means utterances or words. But what's a precept? Hold on, let me look it up. Precept definition. A general rule intended to regulate behavior, a writ or a warrant. So that's like a commandment. So Rabbi Stein's also adopting the approach that it's a commandment. But really, I am Hashem your God is not a, to my mind, it doesn't strike me as a commandment. It's a what?
Statement.
I mean, it's just,
AI overview, it says, in the Bible, precepts are commandments, instructions, or principles that guide behavior.
Here. well, look at this AI question. We'll just look this up. My question is, what is the first of the 10 commandments? Let's see what they say. And they'll say, wow, this is bizarre. He says, I can't quote from religious texts.
Really?
That's bizarre.
Who says that?
AI.
Which,
What, what's that AI? Here. Here. 10 Commandments. The Decalogue, the Aseret Dvarim. Okay, scholars disagree. Okay, commandments, text, and numbering. So, wow, there's many different versions of it.
Yes, I
Um,
think that in the King James, they combine
They combine it. That's what they're.
Pasuk 2 and 3 are combined.
Yeah, that would make sense. They combine it into one commandment. They make it as to one. Okay, this is a big hornet's nest you got us into here, Jerry. But I'll say one other thing just before we're going. It's also very clear that the 10 Commandments in the Jewish tradition are not, when they were written on tablets, the tablets do not look like, I don't even know what that shape is, like what's that called?
Window.
No, like the window, like an arch. That's not, like the way a lot of arcs have it with an arch, but they were rather just rectangular or squared. That's how the Gemara describes it. So, hello Ezra, how you doing? It's going amazing. So here's a chumash. So this was not something that was arched. That's not the way the Lufot were. Of course, Mel Brooks had 15 commandments. Okay, so we go on. Okay, next verse, an arch edition. The next verse says, Lo yelecha Elohim achirim al panai. You're not allowed to have any other gods on top of me. Rashi says, why does it say Lo yelecha? Because it says you shall not make, because it says you can't make for yourself a graven image. So I would only learn from here that you can't make an idol. What about the idea that you can't keep an idol that's already been made? It means Lo yelecha. You're not allowed to own an idol. So it's not just you can't make an idol. Chapter 20 of Exodus, verse 3. We're doing the 10 Commandments. So it means you're not allowed to own an idol. Can't make, even if somebody else bought it and made it for you, you can't keep it. One time, I was walking down the street and a person ran out to greet me on 16th Street, and he was so excited to give me a statue he made of a rabbi, like a full statue. And I was thinking that this might be idolatry. It was a full thing. I didn't want to break it. I wasn't allowed to, if this is correct, you're not allowed to own it. So it's the prohibition is if it's a full lifelike statue. That's the prohibition of the next verse. But there are some, you'll see some communities, if they'll give you like a doll, they say the doll fits in within the prohibition of do not make any image. And so what they do is they mutilate the doll that the kids play with, like they rip off a toe or a finger, So it's very clearly not a full form, but I find that to be like, creepy.
Yeah.
Just disabled though.
Just like-
Maybe they'll chop off a leg, and so the prohibition is on it being a full body.
What if it's a doll and it's the same size as a human that age, right?
No, I know, I mean, just a full form. It's some people are at different levels of, of preciseness with this. Okay, what does it mean? Hello, Moshe. How are the roads tonight? Good?
Yeah. No.
Baruch Hashem. You can't have any other gods. What does that mean? That they're not divine, but others people make them gods. Now, alternatively, that these gods, what does it mean they're other gods? They are others to those who worship them. The people cry out to them and they don't answer. I heard this story from Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey said when he was a little kid, he was 6 years old. His family was not religious, and he was sitting there, and his teacher walks in and says, "Well, if you want to have, you want something, you got to pray for it." So he said, his family had no money, but he was sitting there every night. He was praying for a bike, a Mustang bike. He said. Then 2 weeks later, what happened was his family came home. His family was overjoyed. He won a bike in a raffle. He hadn't entered the raffle. His friend had wrote his name down on a ticket and put it in for him. Jim Carrey said, since that day, I've never stopped praying. I don't know who he's praying to, what he's praying to, but I seems like a nice guy. Okay, next verse. Lo ta'aselcha pasa v'chol tmuna asher b'shamayim mimal v'asher ba'aretz mitachas asher b'mayim mitachas aretz. A person should not make any form or graven image. That's what we're talking about. That is generally speaking means like a full body. You know what you know where you see this? Like they make like these statues of in Washington. Like they made one of Martin Luther King, then they made one of Dwayne Wade. But they don't have all the fingers on those statues, do they? If they really have all the fingers,
I think they usually do. I think they're pretty in detail.
that's literally a prohibition.
The Dwayne Wade one was, it was not even Dwayne Wade, so I don't even think it was.
No, but it's a person. Doesn't have to be.
Bigger, real life.
Like the Michelangelo's Babel. That's like.
But so these are questions. I know smaller than real life. There's some at there, although some people are strict.
Like a wax figure. Those are like super real.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are like common things. They're not like wax figures. Those look insanely real.
Yeah, they could-
Yeah, well, no, but do they make all the digits? Do they make all the digits?
Every little.
Yeah, that would be a prohibition.
Yeah.
That would seem to be exactly this prohibition. So don't go into that line of work. Question is, are you allowed to go and look at it? See, it might be problematic. I hadn't thought about that.
There's one like downtown, right?
What, a wax museum?
Yeah.
I never been to it.
Yeah, it's from downtown Silver Spring.
There is one exhibit I want to go to. I'll stop here and dive in, but there's one exhibit I want to go to.